Okay everyone, we've reached Wednesday and we're just inching closer to the weekend and that big game on Saturday against Hearts. And things seem to be calm, quite quiet, dare I say it, before we experience the noise and colour of Saturday afternoon. That's my way of saying that there's not a great deal of news actually happening, but there are plenty of wee things we can read into and talk about. So don't worry, we'll still find a way to fill the next 10-15 minutes or so. Yeah, I think there's always a tendency, I don't know if it's just modern day or what, there's certainly part of that, but there's always a tendency just to talk up absolutely every single game that's coming up, and the next match is the biggest match of the season, the biggest match in the club's history, all of that stuff. And then when it happens, you move on to the next one and do the exact same again. And I'm always wary of doing that this weekend, especially when we do have an even bigger match 7 days later at Celtic Park. Having said that, I can't get away from this weekend being the biggest match of the season so far, potentially the recent derby at Ibrox. But I just think, like, when you look at the ingredients you need for like a major Celtic match, this weekend kind of has all of them, apart from the fact it's not Rangers we're playing, but it's kind of the next best team in terms of rivalry, league position. Obviously they've beaten us twice as well already this season. I mean, look at the league table and we are in a really good position. Just 4 matches left as well. It's a good position, but there's still a good bit of work to be done. But I just think if we're sitting 6 points clear come Saturday night, we can all feel pretty good about our chances. And like, it's all in our hands on Saturday. We don't need any favours from anywhere. It's just about Celtic, Celtic Park, Saturday afternoon, win the game at all costs by any means necessary and move on. I mean, the match itself is appetising. A team who have beaten us the last 2 times they've played us, home and away at Tynecastle. Both very comfortable wins too, if we're honest. I know there was, some controversy regarding the referee and VAR in the last one in Edinburgh, but like, Hearts did beat us comfortably that day. They've had a really good season. They're the 3rd best team in the country. They've got some good players. And I think they'll come and have a go at us on Saturday, which should help us as well. And yeah, it is a Saturday 3 p.m. game. Celtic Park will be absolutely packed and rocking. And I was actually trying to think of the last time we've had such a big league game not against Rangers, and like, I'm struggling a little bit to think of one. There were maybe a few in Ange's first season, but were any of them as big as this, as close to the end of the season with things still in the balance? And then you go back to other close title races and immediately you think of the one we actually lost out on in 2010, 2011. I remember a game against Dundee United at Celtic Park actually on the 1st of May, so 13 years ago today. We won that one 4-1. I remember that being, a massive game. But again, this one might just be a little bit bigger. I think it is that big this weekend. I'm trying to see how many times I can say that it's a big game. Have you got the gist yet that it's quite a big game this Saturday? And hopefully, like, the Celtic support get that. I think we will. It's a sellout for Saturday. The stadium is actually going to be full. I mean, I think there'll be 58, 59,000 there. Again, there's no reason for there not to be. Saturday 3 p.m. You very rarely get these major matches happening at the ideal time for football, Saturday 3 p.m. And I just think with all the ingredients I've put in there, that the stadium will be packed. And I just hope the atmosphere, I hope the stadium's absolutely rocking. Almost, treat it like the game 7 days later, a derby. Make it as hostile for the Hearts players as it will be for Rangers 7 days later. Get behind Celtic and make as much noise as we will a week later. And I think, we have an important part to play this weekend, as do the team. and just like forget everything that's gone before, as I think we kind of have as a support this season, and we're all just focused on it now. And yeah, the team aren't playing great at the moment, but like just be really supportive of the team, because it doesn't matter if they don't play well on Saturday. It really doesn't. Just win the game. Honestly, this stage of the season, just win the game. Can't wait for it, as I say, buzzing for the game. And yeah, I'm almost kind of surprised it's not been chosen by Sky Sports for live coverage. I say surprised, you can't really be surprised at this stage anymore. I know they've got like a cap on the amount of times they're allowed to broadcast a game from each stadium per season, and I'm guessing they're maybe holding their last Celtic match back, hopefully for the St Mirren on Trophy Day, hopefully. But yeah, I mean, this game is one that really should be on TV. I think it'll be kind of showcasing the best of Scottish football. And I've just been having a bit of a think about the team I would play this weekend. You can tell I'm up for this game because we're at Wednesday and I'm already doing my predicted lineups. And yeah, obviously we need to wait and see whether Dyson Maeda is back for this one. There was footage of him yesterday that was sent of him seemingly back in training, so that seems positive, but we'll hear from Brendan Rodgers on Friday. I'd assume he'd be on the bench at best, but as I say, we'll find out more in a few days. I know people are a bit worried about Callum McGregor, and there's a lot of stuff being said about him needing to come out of the team. And, that's people's opinions. I think Callum McGregor will continue. I think he'll start the game on Saturday. And I just really hope he can get back to that level, in that midfield. Because it's going to be a real battle in the middle of the park against Hearts. I don't think they've got any outstanding players, but they've got real legs and aggression in that midfield. And we're going to know we're in a game. I don't know, maybe in some other league you would look at a team like Hearts, third place, out of the Scottish Cup, not going to go any higher than third, not going to get any lower than third, not really playing for a great deal between now and the end of the season. But Scottish football's different. Hearts will be absolutely fired up for this one, and our midfield needs to be at the top of their game. So this is a team that I'm going for at this stage. This may change later in the week. I've gone for McGregor in there, James Forrest on the left, Maeda there is a potential game changer, and I think the rest of the team probably picks itself. It's pretty clear at this stage that Liam Scales is going to continue. I think if Nawrocki was going to come in ahead of Scales, it would have happened at the weekend there. So Scales is going to continue at centre back alongside Carter Vickers. But I just think, even away from the Callum McGregor stuff, there's a lot of players there that I think we can expect more from. Carter Vickers, O'Reilly, Hatate, Kuhn, McGregor's one as well, Kyogo. These players have all been pretty quiet in recent weeks. And I guess some of you may look at that and say, why would they suddenly spring into life this week? Is this not what we're going to see more of between now and the end of the season? I just think they're big game players and they're going to step up when that atmosphere comes at Celtic Park on Saturday. And, they are big game players, as I say. So I'm confident that the team will be really up for it on Saturday. I think it was interesting that Rodgers spoke about the game right after Dundee. He said he's looking forward to it. And if that's how he's feeling, he's going to be, putting that across to the players this week. What an opportunity they've got to play back at Celtic Park, where we've not had many games recently, to go and show what we can do. Yeah, we'll continue this tomorrow. In terms of other news over the past 24 hours, not a huge deal happening. Brendan Rodgers was probably understandably overlooked for the PFA's Manager of the Year award. They have nominated Derek McInnes, the Kilmarnock manager, John McGlynn at Falkirk in League One. I actually just saw this morning that they've not even lost a league game all season. I think they have one left. And finally, Tony Docherty having a great season at Dundee. I guess if we go on and win the double from here, it looks a little bit daft. If Brendan Rodgers wouldn't win it, if he wins 2 trophies, equally we could still go trophyless this season. So I kind of, as much as again I want to feel outraged about it, I can't really argue too much. John Hartson has branded the decision bizarre. That's fine. That's his opinion. Personally, I'm not sure you can argue with it too much, given that we've not really had a brilliant season. It could, of course, still end brilliantly. Another story that's come out over the last day or so is Inter Milan reportedly entering the fray for Matt O'Reilly. We know that Atletico Madrid wanted him in January. Celtic weren't willing to let O'Reilly go. O'Reilly spoke very openly about it on Monday, about actually maybe not dealing with it perfectly at the time, and in future he feels he could deal with stuff like interest from other clubs a little bit better. Seems like Inter were sniffing around him in January as well, and they are still keeping him under observation. That's according to Italian newspaper Corriere dello Sport. Now, they mentioned the Scottish Premiership being a pretty attractive place for Italian teams at the moment. Lewis Ferguson, the obvious example, doing really well at Bologna. They signed him from Aberdeen. There's been a few other ones, Aaron Hickey, etc. And it seems like there is a desire for Italian teams to be looking at talented players playing in the Scottish Premiership. And that's maybe part of the interest in Matt O'Reilly. If you were looking at, outstanding players in Scottish football, O'Reilly would probably be at the top of your list. Now, I personally expect him to be moving on in the summer. He's had 2.5 years, pretty good years at Celtic, and that's usually about as much as we can expect from talented young players like him. I would hope that it would be a pretty mega fee based on what he's done in the Champions League this season. Nothing incredible, but certainly some real moments of brilliance, and the couple of assists he had against top level teams. I think that will have gone down well with potential suitors. So yeah, I do expect him to move on this summer, probably be our main and hopefully only player to leave for big money. And it'll just be about replacing him at that stage. I mean, I could be wrong. He may stay for another season, but you get a feeling for the way things go sometimes. And I just hope between now and the end of the season he can really hit his top form again. And if it is going to be his last 5 games for the club, really go out on a high, because he's not quite been there over the last couple of games. He's had moments when he scored against Aberdeen at Hampden just the weekend before last, but he's just not impacting games the exact same way he was at the start of the season, and we know it's there. He's not playing badly, but from him and other guys like Hatate and Kyogo, you just want them to find that top level or as close to it as possible between now and the end of the season. There were some great comments from O'Reilly during the week actually about the size of Celtic and loving Celtic, and he'd actually asked Joe Hart whether there are many other clubs like Celtic out there. Hart had said no, and given the career that he's had at plenty of big clubs and big environments, that seemed to have a bit of an effect on O'Reilly. So he says he's loved playing for Celtic, but I sense that he's still very focused on achieving stuff between now and the end of the season. So yeah, plenty of build-up still to be done. This week feels like it's dragging in. I don't know if it's the same for you, but we're gradually getting there. Tomorrow will be Thursday, and we'll chat a bit more at that stage.